Hello, welcome to the Afrocentric Woman After Dark. Hopefully, I'm not too tipsy and I can do this live coherently. I've been at a family friends get together talking with black folks offline, and what I can tell you is that what's happening offline in black families and black gatherings is somewhat in alignment with what is happening online. I can tell you that. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. All right. I always promised myself that I would not be one of those people who celebrated graduations along the way, like kindergarten and first grade and middle school, going to high school. I was like, I'm not doing that when I have kids. I'm just going to celebrate high school, college, and master's degrees, and that's it. But I'll tell you, once you have children, people will suck you into all manner of things that don't have anything to do with you because you don't want your child to feel left out. So if they're having a graduation for the kindergarten or a graduation for the pre-K and you don't want to be involved and your kid's going to be the only one that's not out, you're going to be like, all right, fine, I'll do it. So that's kind of the situation that I'm in. So I'm at this graduation for little children, and it's a family event. And I'll tell you about the various levels of pygmishas that I met, because I met old pygmishas, I met middle-aged pygmishas, and I met young pygmishas. And it was very interesting, everybody's perspective, like the various pygmishas and the underdeveloped males associated with these pygmishas and their perspective on things, and how and the reason why, while I may not be a divester, I have great compassion for divestors because it's extremely nerve-wracking to show love to a group of people who do not reciprocate that love back to you. It is extremely frustrating to see the potential and to love and try to inspire a group of people who do not see any real value in themselves, and they don't see any reason to strive for something more for themselves. They don't want to, at any point in time, break out of their poverty mindset, to break out of their mindset of lack, of downtroddenness, of oppression, of abuse, of being left out, being without, being in struggle. They're not willing to let that go. Even if you're showing them a viable way to get out of it, they don't want to hear anything about that. And they're particularly upset with you for bringing these ideas to the table. And this is a very interesting dynamic if you can see it play out in the real world. So I'm recounting to you me going to a family function, a fish fry, if you will. There was fish fry, there was crawdads, there was corn on the cob, and I think sausage, right? And margaritas. I brought wine. I ended up drinking margaritas nonetheless, but I started off with Pinot Grigio and chilling and talking and the children playing and having conversation. So this is what's happening. This is what's happening when you are a person who is interacting with regular, everyday Black folks, everyday, regular schmegler. My friend, who I'm associated with, our children are best friends, and then she and I became friendly. I stopped short of saying she's a close friend because her pygmisha tendencies are strong. When I say strong, I say strong. Like, she is the prototypical pygmisha, and in fact, if she will come on live with me, I will invite her to share her views on dating, on relationships, on why she prides herself, actually. She puffs out her chest. I kid you the fuck not. And y'all help me stop cursing so much. I'm going to try to stop cursing as much as I do. So please assist me with that, I beg you. But she puffs up her chest at requiring nothing of men. And this is something that she is extremely proud of. She prides herself in requiring nothing of men, and that's something that she likes to brag about. Now, keep in mind, she doesn't have a place of her own. She lives with her mother because she can't afford to live on her own. Um, I don't want to go too much in on her because that's not the point of this conversation, but she is, when we talk about Pick Misha, that's who she is. When we talk about a woman who does not really invest in herself, she doesn't invest in her wellness, she doesn't invest in her health, she doesn't aspire to attain, more in life. She doesn't inspire her partners to do anything with themselves. That's her. And so I found through these interactions and also with just the lifestyle choices, I don't mean to be bougie or elitist or anything of that nature, but I found that I was living in a bubble. I live in a bubble of eating vegetables, drinking water, working out, um, reading, and bettering myself and dating up. And I didn't really think I was doing anything special, to be honest with you. I'm just living life day to day. But once I entered into that world, because keep in mind, we are not friends by like where we grew up together or you know, we have we came up from the same school or the same community. No, that's not the situation. We are friends because our children are friends. So you can only imagine that we have been connected through sort of an unconventional pathway, right? So we are coming from totally different worlds. So when our worlds merged and I was able to come into this world and see the ramen noodles and the soda and the sedentary lifestyle and the bickering and the gossip and the low expectations and no aspirations and no movement forward, I was taken aback because, as I've stated in other live streams, I have curated a life for myself that is a bubble, if you will, of entrepreneurs, of go-getters, people who strive to continue to push the envelope, to continue to develop themselves. I spend a lot of time at the gym. I'm at the gym all throughout the week, and so people who are into fitness and health and wellness and things of that nature. So I'm taking it like, in other words, by me moving in the way that I move with my organics and da 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 da, to be brought into the world of someone who eats ramen noodles and drinks soda all the time and to spend money on very frivolous things. It was just, to me, it was honestly, honest to God, a bit jarring for me. And I had to kind of, open up my mind and understand that Black people, we are such a diverse group of people that live very diverse backgrounds. And maybe there is value in entering into different worlds because honestly, from where I sit, I serve people of various backgrounds, but it's on a very transactional, like I'm providing this service, I'm helping you with this particular issue, and I'm out, right? But to come into someone's home, to come into their space, and to interact with them, that's a different level of intimacy. That's a different level of knowing and seeing the day-to-day life of this person. We don't have a lot in common, is what I realized. And so I would say that we are friendly and we are very cool, and I could probably rely on her for a few things and she could rely on me for some things as well. But would I say that we're friends? That's a stretch. But our children are friends. They love each other. So therefore we make it work. So I'm at her family and friends gathering, and the first Pick Misha I talked to was an older Pick Misha. So she's in her 60s, and she's drinking. So she'd already been drinking before I got there. And I'm just getting started on my first cup of wine. And she's like, well, I'm kicking all of you guys out at 7 because I want to bounce on a pole. And I'm like, okay. And, she's she's making it very known that she has a male gentleman coming to see her later in the evening, and she wants to make sure that we get the hell out of her house so that she can entertain this gentleman, which is fine. I tell her, I said, Auntie, I'm laughing with her. I'm on my first glass of wine. Auntie's already however many drinks into the situation. And I tell her, I want to be like you when I get older, which I do. Like, I want to be feisty in my 60s as well. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be having amazing orgasms when I'm 60 and 70, maybe even 80. I don't know how long I can keep this train going, but for however long I can keep it going, I want to, right? So I'm high-fiving Auntie and we're kikiing. And I said, well, Auntie, your gentleman friend, he's paying your mortgage, right? You're good, right? And she's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want, I don't need it and I don't want it. And so I'm just probing, I'm probing, I'm probing. I'm trying to understand why Auntie doesn't want this man who's going to come into her home that she pays for and she pays the mortgage. Why don't you want this man to contribute to your lifestyle? And a theme came up that comes up a lot when I talk to Pygmishas. I have a friend who's a Pygmisha. And there's a gentleman in her apartment complex that every time she comes home, her brakes squeak, right? And so it's loud. And so this man is hearing her brakes squeak. And so the man has offered to get her brakes taken care of. And I said, well, that's sweet of him. Why don't you just go ahead and get your brakes taken care of? And she says, well, I would get my brakes taken care of, but I don't want him to want anything from me. I don't want him to think that I owe him something. And I was like, what? Because here you are, my friend who's a Pygmisha who I grew up with. You have a whole baby daddy in jail. And this male expects for you to take care of all his mail. He expects for you to interact with his family while he's in jail. He expects for you to store all of his clothing and pay the bill for each month. He expects for you to interact with his parole officer so that when he gets out, he can come live with you. He expects for you to accept all of his collect calls. He expects for you to put money on his commissary, and he expects for you to call him. So he has a whole laundry list of shit that he expects of you. Meanwhile, he's in jail. So this man who's free recognizes a problem that you have, which is your brakes. He sees you're a single mom. He sees you with your baby, but he don't see no man with you ever. So he steps up as a man, a black man. Let me just emphasize. He steps up as a black man and says, I hear your brakes are really sounding bad. Let me take care of that for you. And you mean to tell me that you don't want to accept his help because you're afraid he might expect something of you? Meanwhile, your dusty baby daddy expects everything of you by giving you nothing. Nothing. So make it make sense. Listen, if someone is offering to do something, why won't you just let him be a man and just let him help you? It's a fallacy of the mind that Pygmishas have in their mind, from young to middle-aged to old, that these Pygmishas think that accepting assistance from a man, specifically financial, is going to make them lose control. And I need to get to the bottom of the understanding of these Pygmishas' delusion to think that they control these men with money. They think they control these men with their provisions. You don't control them. Poor men cheat on you. Rich men cheat on you. Middle income men cheat on you. They all have the possibility of doing that. The only difference between the very wealthy women and the women who are getting all their bills taken, whose men may or may not step out, is that they're still living in comfort. Meanwhile, you're busting your ass providing for this man, and if he steps out on you, you got cheated on and you're broke at the same damn time. And that's not a good feeling. That's not anything to aspire to. That's not anything noble or anything that's worth trying to fight for. It's just not a good look. So that is her perspective on things. That is why she will not allow this man to help her, because she feels like she will be owed something to this man. And so the Pygmisha, the 60-year-old Pygmisha that I talked to today, who was saying that this guy is going to slide through and she's going to bounce on his pole. She's 60 something years old, and he's not paying her mortgage, light bill, gas bill, cable bill, nothing. He ain't paying shit, not the water bill, nothing. He just comes over there and gives her penis. That's it. And when I introduced the idea of him contributing to her mortgage, she says, well, I don't want him for that. I just want him for the dick. Really? Why can't you have both? What's wrong with that? And why do you have the false idea that one cancels out the other? Why can't you have great sex and provisions? Well, I don't need it. Who said you needed it? It's not about needing, it's about wanting. And if you had him, keep in mind this Pygmisha's overweight. And her hair is not done, her makeup's not done, her nails I think were somewhat done. But she's overweight and her hair's not done. And I'm thinking in my head, well, if he was paying your mortgage, would you be able to go get your hair done? And would you be able to possibly go to the gym and lose some weight if you had the luxury to do that? You know what I'm saying? Would you be able to afford organic foods and healthy foods so that you don't have to be overweight? I'm just wondering, what would this man bringing something to the table, what would that afford you as a woman, as a feminine woman? Which, of course, she's not operating in her feminine at all. It's very masculine to brag about dick. Like, I'm going to bounce on this dick. I'm going to do this. I'm going to fuck him. I'm going to da da da. That's not feminine. That's not feminine. So basically, we have a situation of role reversal. We have a situation of role reversal. We have a woman who is not operating in her divine feminine. She's not maximizing everything that femininity could offer to her as a woman, especially as it pertains to her health. So there's that one. And then fast forward, I don't know how actually I do know how this came up. So we ended up sitting at a table. So it's me, my friend who's the Pygmisha, well, the person I'm friendly with, my mom, my daughter's friend's mother. And we'll call her my friend for the purposes of this video. So my friend is sitting there. Then across from her is her baby sister, who I've just met. So the baby sister's probably in her late 20s. And then there's a guy who at first I thought it was her brother, but it turned out it was actually the sister's boyfriend and then her brother. I know for sure her brother is an irresponsible, typical black male, because there was one point in time where my friend was just getting on her feet economically, and she was trying to catch up on the things that she needed. She had a repo on her credit, and she's catching up on the things that she needs to do. And she and I are, swapping ideas about we're swapping ideas about credit building, about things of that nature. And she just tells me out the blue, oh, well, yeah, I don't have money anymore because I loaned such and such $100 to my brother because he was about to get his car repossessed. And I thought to myself, the brother doesn't have any children. You're a single mother. So what man would take money from a single mother to handle some things that he could have done himself? So that kind of told me everything that I needed to know about the brother. The brother obviously is just a selfish prick, because the men that I know would never even consider asking their sisters for money for anything, let alone a car. And they definitely wouldn't ask their sisters for money if they were single mothers and the dad wasn't involved. So the fact that he was willing to basically the fact that he was willing to squeeze blood from a turnip told me everything that I needed to know about him. And sure enough, he's a very underdeveloped male, which is indicative of his mother, absentee father, etc. So, so the brother is there, the sister's boyfriend, and my friend, and we start talking. And I don't know how we got on the topic of a first date, and I don't know how this came up, but basically it was something like hiking and fishing, and I was like, I don't do those types of dates, not on the first dates. I genuinely like hiking, and I hike on my own, to be honest with you. I love it. I love hiking and I love fishing. I love hanging out in the park. I love to do those things as an individual person, but I will not do them for first few dates. First several dates, I would say. I would not meet someone to go fishing. I will not meet you to go hiking. That's just not, it's just not something I'm willing to do. And women like me are not willing to do it. We're not willing to do it. And so that started the conversation. Like, I'm just like, that's just not for me. And then it just turned into this conversation of the young man, the sister's boyfriend, was particularly triggered by me and by my unwillingness to do that, and his disingenuous inquiries into my perspective, because he wasn't really interested in understanding my worldview. He was more so trying to make a point that I'm a gold digger. But the thing about it is, I'm not offended by the term gold digger. That doesn't upset me. And if you think I'm a gold digger, then that means that I've made the right impression on you. And yeah, perfect if you think I'm a gold digger, because that doesn't offend me at all. Sure, I'm a gold digger. That's fine. And what I was trying to express to this young man was that, well, his perspective was, you're not a man, so you don't know. And I said, well, I'm not sharing the perspective of all men. What I'm sharing the perspective of is men who make a lot of money. What you have to understand about them is that they don't care. Like, if they want me, a woman, if they want me, or if they want a woman comparable to me, and I go to 5-star restaurants, they do too. And if that's what I want and they want me, then they'll do whatever I want them to do, because they want to be around me. And that's what I'm trying to explain to him. You have to, and I'm trying to tell him, I know that you're in school right now, you're in university, and so you probably don't have a lot of disposable income. But what you have to understand about these men is that $500 is a lot of money to you, young man, but you have to understand that these men that I date, and these men of this caliber, they spend $500 on lunch by themselves. They may go out to dinner and drop $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 on dinner for all their friends and family. And it's not a big deal because they have an abundance of cash. And he just couldn't wrap his mind around that. This young man had mentioned earlier in the day that he was studying mechanical engineering. And I told him, I said, listen, you know, if you're studying mechanical engineering and you take this to the maximum where you want to take it, you too will have an abundance of money, and you will understand greater what I'm saying. But right now, I think that this is a foreign concept, but it won't be for long. If you follow your career path and you take everything to the maximum, you will be sitting in these circles that I'm telling you about. So what I'm trying to do is inspire this young man. I'm trying to let him know that you're not locked out of wealth through this particular education path that you're following. And with the right mindset, you too will have much. You will have more. This is an extremely dark-skinned black male, young 20-something guy. And he's just getting angry. He's angry, he's pouting, he's livid with me because I won't agree to going to fishing or hiking. He felt that I was a gold digger. Um, he felt that men want a woman to love them for just them, and I'm not a man, and I don't know all men. And I'm telling him, like, I'm not claiming that I do. And I asked him, I said, well, have you ever sat down with a billionaire? No. Well, I've sat down with two. I've had conversations with two billionaires, like not online, in person. And I've dated millionaires and I've talked to millionaires. So I'm explaining to you that your perspective is based on a 20-something-year-old young man. Well, really, he's yet still a male. You're a 20-something young male who is in college, and you are not in the circles that I'm in. And so I'm telling you how they think. I'm not claiming to speak for all men, but I'm sharing with you men, like, even like a friend of a friend. I may have a friend of a friend who's going on a yacht from Miami to the Bahamas on this like luxury yacht with like an old man an old white man who has a lot of money, and he has various girls coming through. He doesn't care what those girls can do for him. You understand, young man? I didn't say this, but I'm telling you guys now, like, but this is what I was trying to explain to him. This man with this yacht who's going from Miami to the Bahamas, it's not important to him what these young ladies have, or some of them weren't even that young. Some of these ladies were in their 40s. It's not about what these women have financially. They don't, in fact, this man and this is a real story, the man who was going from Miami to the Bahamas had a full staff. So he has captains of the ship, 2, and he has people that prepare the food each day, and he has people to like clean the linens and clean the rooms and clean up behind the guests, which I knew personally through my family, someone who was a guest on this voyage from Miami to Bahamas. So there were women flying. There was a first woman who came in and she left, and then another woman who came in through a helicopter that landed on this yacht, and the woman was there to entertain him. So he doesn't expect this woman to cook. He doesn't expect her to clean. He doesn't expect her to do anything for him besides entertain him and be beautiful. And what I'm trying to explain to him is that there are men in the world who don't expect women to mule, who don't expect women to sacrifice for them and to be beholden to them and to cook and clean and be a mule for them. There are men out there like that. And he couldn't, the more I tried to let him know that there's just people out there that you don't know about, the more enraged he got. He just sat there, I could just see him boiling inside. And I'm cool as a cucumber because I completely understand his perspective. And I completely understand it. I've been there and I've done that. But the interesting thing about all of this, because I date engineers. I've been dating engineers for the past over 10 years. I've dated men that work at the patent office for the US government that give other engineers patents, right? So those are like the first engineers I started dating were like guys that worked at the patent office in DC. So I'm familiar with that. I love engineers because I'm so emotional and I'm so touchy-feely. Y'all know me if you've been listening to this channel. I'm so over the top emotional. For whatever reason, I attract engineers. So I'm very familiar with it, and I know engineers that can help him right now. He was so busy being angry with me because I'm sharing with him a different lifestyle. I'm sharing with him a different perspective. And I'm also encouraging him at the same time. Young man, you're on your way here. And when you get here, you're going to see things differently. But he's just sitting there getting mad and angry, wanting me to be calling me a gold digger. And, he almost even took it to this place of, he mentioned something about me being like, not me personally, but something about being a whore or something like that. And before he could go down that rabbit hole, I just femininely brought him back into perspective. I said, well, I told him, I said, I stroked his ego. I said, you've been such a gentleman during this conversation. Are you a gentleman? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm a gentleman. I said, okay, well, you've been a gentleman thus far. And I just, children are around and this is a family affair. So I think that we can keep having this conversation and keep everything perspective. Don't you agree? And so he veered away from going down that you're a hoe and you hoes and you put da 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 da. So I was able to redirect him in a feminine way before he started to put his foot in his mouth and be a total complete asshole and be vulgar. But he was going down a very vulgar path because he was just upset with everything. Meanwhile, while all this is taking place, I'm encouraging him and just encouraging him that you too, young man, you too can access this. You too. But the thing about it is, I believe you can. I'm almost like an auntie or a mother because this guy's in his 20s, right? So you're not for me. I don't want you. I don't want you. But I still have love for you as a Black man, and I'm encouraging you. I'm attempting to encourage you that you can do this. You could stay the course, finish your studies, stay focused, strive for the best, work hard, save, invest. I'm doing my best to encourage him, but he's just so enraged that what he has to offer isn't good enough for women like me. He's just upset that I just won't accept fishing or hiking for first date. That none of my encouragement and love is being reciprocated or even accepted or acknowledged at all. And I feel neutral about everything because I don't need you to accept my love or support for me to feel validated. I don't give a shit because truth be told, this love and affection and admiration and validation and ego stroking that you're having access to very briefly, there are men in my life that covet it and invest in me because they want it and they crave it. So the interesting thing about all this dialogue is that this young male never said, well, tell me more about how I can get in. Can you help me? Can you give me a contact to one of these men? Who's the billionaire that you talk to? Would you think he would be interested in investing in one of my ideas? Do you think there's an angel? Do you know any angel funders? Is there anybody that could give me a scholarship to help me finish school because I'm struggling in this area? He never asked me to help him, or he never wanted me. In other words, he only wanted me to lower down my standards, to admit that sure, hiking is enough. I shouldn't ask for anything financial from a man. That's just not the right thing to do. That's what he wanted, but I wasn't willing to do that. So instead of him coming up to where I was to get included with these things that are happening, he just he just renounced himself to to just wallow in the gutter, just wallow right where he was. So there was another interesting dynamic that was happening in this conversation, which was that of his brother. His brother asked me, will you expect these things from men? I don't remember what it was. I don't remember exactly what it was. But he's like, you expect these things from men, but what are you giving? Keep in mind, this man is overweight. I'm the only fit person in this house. Okay? Everybody's overweight. The 3 men are overweight. All the women are overweight. Me and my child are the only fit people in the home. Okay? All right. So we know. So the male who's asking me, my friend's brother, he's way overweight. And he has on a white t-shirt, right? Which most high value men, pardon me for saying high value, most men who present themselves a certain way, they wear white t-shirts underneath their clothes. White t-shirts are considered undergarments for these men. But for their certain caliber of men, they will go out into public with a white t-shirt on, right? Okay, so this is the kind of guy. So he has on this big oversized white t-shirt and jeans. And he asked me, he says, well, you want all these things from a man, but what are you willing to give? And I said, give? What do you mean, give? I don't have a penis. And this upset him. This upset him a lot because I told him, well, I'm a natural receiver. I'm a woman. And this just upset him. And he walked away and he just started kind of lamenting. And then, so this guy's in his 30s. And then, so the younger one walked away. And I'm just still there enjoying my drink and chilling. I don't care. He was just so upset that I said that I'm a natural receiver. He was just like, well, why wouldn't you give something like, I guess 50-50, like maybe money or something? I don't know exactly what he was alluding to or insinuating with the giving. Like, well, what is it that you want besides a beautiful woman who's of high caliber that's inspirational to you? What more do you want? And do you want a woman or do you want another man? I don't, like, what is it that you want? I don't even think they know. So there was that. With the young man, so then the mama comes. So this is my friend's mother. So she comes over and she's kind of, chiming in a little bit because we're starting to clean up at this point. And the mom is like, well, I don't need this, and I want a man to come to my children, because she has 2 girls, right? She has 2 female children. I want a man to come to my kids who have at least what they have and can give what they have, and that's what I want for them. And I don't need anything either. I have a good job. And so she's married to this man who doesn't have a job, right? So the mom is a pick-me-sha, and she raised her son to be worthless. Well, worthless is a strong word, so let me try to find a better one. She raised her son to be incompetent and non-competitive. I'll say that. Because if your son is borrowing money, really took the money because he never paid it back. If your son is taking money from his sister who's a single mother who's struggling, he's incompetent. He's not operating in his masculine. Because a real man would sleep in a cardboard box before he takes money out of a kid's mouth. That's a real man. A real man would go into the wilderness and suffer and sacrifice and endure until he got it together. But a real man would never take money out of a child's mouth for his own comfort, because it's very selfish and effeminate. So you've raised this incompetent male, and you've raised a pick-me-sha. You have 2 pick-me-sha daughters. and an incompetent son. And she herself is a Pygmisha who has married a man with no job. And the way she bragged on her husband was, well, I had a surgery and he cleaned me up. Ma'am, you could have hired a CNA for that. You could have hired home health for that. So you're basically, you bought a house and you moved this man into your home who doesn't, I think he has maybe like Social Security or something. No job, no skills, he's not producing anything in the world of value. And you're proud of this. And because of your mindset, you've produced two Pygmisha daughters and an incompetent son. And so that is why I talk to Black women about child rearing. And I know that the men are absent, and I know that they're AWOL, and I know that it's tough being a single mother. But what I will say is that if we don't get single motherhood right and understand how important we are as single mothers, as instilling the values and mindset into our children, both our boy children and our girl children, then we will lose. We will continue to lose. We cannot throw our arms up in the air and renounce ourselves. Oh, my baby daddy left me, therefore let the kids just be whatever it's going to be. Whatever. No, 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 no. We don't have that luxury. If we want our men to be competitive in the world market, compete against Asian men, compete against white men, to compete against Arab men, to be competitive on the world stage, we have to instill those competitive values in them. The two men that the two males that I sat down with today were not competitive at all. The only people that these males want to compete with are Black women. They don't want to compete with other men. That's the problem. That's one of the problems that we have. They don't want to compete with other men. They want to compete with women. They want to be up in women's faces, telling you how to do your eyebrows and your eyelashes and your hair, telling you what to wear, telling you that you need to make a sandwich and be quiet. And if you can be quiet and make them a sandwich and acquiesce to whatever way they want you to do your hair, they feel like men. Meanwhile, other men are out here dominating, creating whole companies, empires, systems, banking systems, you know what I'm saying? Cities and shit, and everything else involving politics, creating policies. These men out here doing real things. And y'all in here bickering with me about a first date. And you want to puff out your chest and think you a man. Go create a company, bro. Get some interest, get some stocks, get some bonds. Make some money. And what I told the young man, the 20-year-old, because the 30-year-old, I already I don't, bro, get out of my face. I'm done with you. I have hope in the 20-something-year-old. I said, man, you know what, young man? I said, when you get older, I said, if you follow mechanical engineering, take it as far as you can. I said, you're going to come up on some money and you're going to have options. You're going to be able to do whatever you want. You're going to have access to the women that you think you don't want, that you think that you care. You're so concerned that you don't want a woman who wants you for your money, but you ain't got no money. I said, but when you get money, you're going to want what you want and you're going to have access to what you want. So the key to you, young man, is to get your money. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't quit school. Stay in school. Keep going. Because if you keep following mechanical engineering to its maximum, you're going to have money. You're going to be able to do what you want. In these conversations I'm having right now, you don't understand me, but you will. And he's still angry. He's just not, nothing that I'm saying. Maybe I planted a seed, but on the surface, he's just angry and he's boiling. I could literally see the steam coming out of his ears. So the 30-something-year-old male tells the 20-something-year-old male, um, he is this. So my friend, the Pygmisha, her little sister, the Pygmisha, and the brother, I don't know what you want to call him, Pookie and Ray Ray or something. I don't know. Just the underdeveloped male. So he is the brother of the big brother of of this younger sister. So she's in her late 20s, mid to late 20s, and she is the girl. So the 20-something-year-old is her boyfriend, right? So that's why he's there. And basically, the brother is like, "Well, you have your woman, right? So everything that he's telling him, everything that she's saying, it don't even matter because you happy, right? You content, right?" And he was like, he paused. In a Pygmisha, you should have ran. If an N-word pause when a man tells you, "Oh, you happy with your woman, right?" He paused, and it was a long pause. It was a long pause. He was like, yeah, I am. I am satisfied. I'm satisfied." He's not. He's not satisfied with her. I can tell you that right now. He wants a woman like me 10 years ago. He wants a woman of my caliber. That's what he wants. He's mad that I wouldn't be willing to date him because he's not demonstrating in his manhood. And instead of demonstrating in his manhood, finishing his studies and making money, he would prefer to be angry with me. And part of it is because I'm brown skinned, phenotypically African woman. And these males feel oftentimes that we should be available to them. If I were light skinned, I feel like, as far as he's saying I'm picky and stuck up and everything, I think that would be more tolerable to him. But the fact that I'm a brown skinned black woman with phenotypical African features, I think that was just unacceptable to him. Just absolutely unacceptable. That you wouldn't be willing to just take anything. And the Pygmisha that he was with, you know, that long pause would have been enough for me to just break up. It would have been enough for me to break up with a guy. And she's just like, "Well, I'm not materialistic." That's what she kept saying. "I'm not materialistic. I don't need my man to do nothing for me. I just love my man for who he is." Meanwhile, Pygmisha's overweight. Her hair looks a mess. She's disheveled. You know? She doesn't have a stable place to live, because part of the conversation that we had was talking about her moving and trying to find a stable place to live. So you got a whole dude laid up next to you and you're not even stable. Doesn't make sense. And this is what I thought about afterwards. Well, let me tell you what I said at the end. So anyway, they leave, and my friend the Pygmisha, we've already talked over and over and over again that she's not materialistic. She don't care. If you literally, my friend, if you invite her to Netflix and chill, her answer is yes. She don't care. She don't have no standards. You ain't got to do shit for her. When I say you ain't got to do shit, you don't. She'll Netflix and chill with you. She'll give you money. She doesn't require anything of men. Nothing. And meanwhile, she doesn't have a stable place to live either. Her life is not together either. Right? It's not. So there's that. So as we're leaving, I tell one of the little girls, one thing that I noticed during this family affair was there was a young girl who was playing with our children who were younger, and the young girl had natural hair, and I think she said she was going to be turning 11. And I said, well, are you going to the fifth grade? And she says, no, I'm going to the sixth grade. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful. I'm telling all the brown children that they're beautiful because that's what I do. And the young girl, the one who was going to the sixth grade, I just had to sit there and admire her. And I had to recognize that in the midst of all this chaos, we are making strides, because when I was in fourth grade, I begged my mother for a perm. I mean, I cried, I groveled to my mother, please give me a perm, please, Bobby. And my mom kept trying to convince me that I didn't need the perm, but all my friends were getting perms in the fourth grade. In the fourth grade, all my friends were getting perms. I begged and cried to my mother until she finally gave me a perm. And then I thought, okay, great, now I'm acceptable. So to see little girls with natural hair, it warms my heart. It really, really does. And for it to be so normal, all the little girls, so my little baby and her friend and this other little girl was older, who was going to the sixth grade with natural hair. It's just beautiful to me. So on my way out, I passed this little girl, this little black girl, and I tell her, I say, you are so beautiful. Don't let anybody tell you different. I love your hair. I love your skin. And you're very intelligent. And you are amazing. And always know that. And she says, yes, ma'am. I know. Yes, ma'am. And so there was that. And then as I'm loading my car, I see the young man who was so upset with me earlier that he just walked away and pouted and sulked. I said, hey, bro, remember, uh, strive for greatness and you can do it. Keep going. Keep going. And he didn't. And I said, I love you. I said, remember that. And he didn't say, oh, I love you too. He didn't say that. He didn't say thank you. None of that. And this is the situation that we have with Black men. This family gathering is a representation of our life with the collective of Black males. We encourage you, we love you, and we do our best to inspire you, and you don't reciprocate any love back to us. That is the problem. That is the issue. There's no I love you too, sis. I know we don't agree, but I love you too. Thank you. It's just one-sided. It's me loving you, me seeing something in you that you don't see in yourself, me trying to inspire you, and you giving me nothing in return. Luckily for me, I can love in a way that doesn't hurt me, the individual. I won't love you more than what I have. So I fill up my cup and I have an overflow. And that overflow is where I'm able to love on the babies. I'm able to love on this random Black child that I just ran across to affirm her in her natural hair because she's about to go to sixth grade. And I want to affirm her. I have that love to give. And me to love this random 20-year-old boy who's so confused and wallowing in whatever, and the pick-me-shas, and to be compassionate with them and patient. I have enough overflow because I always fill my cup up first. So I'm not necessarily expecting anything in return, because giving love is something that is given with free will, and it is something that is given from overflow. But for me, it is a representation of the dynamic that we have as a collective of Black women with a collective of Black men. We give and we give and we love, and there's no love returned. not from a collective perspective. Maybe from an individual, I know one person I know one black man. I got my one black man. I owe this black man helping me. Yeah, individually, but as a collective, no, we don't have that. And that played out tonight. And again, I just want to reiterate, I'm constantly telling this young man that I have access to circles of men who have money. Never once did he ever ask me, can you get me in? Or who are they? Or like, where are they? Or would they be interested in a mentor? And I had given both the Pygmisha younger girl and I gave him advice. I said, since you two are young and you're in school, now's the time to use your status as students to gain access to these circles, because they will see you as non-threatening, as non-competitive, and they will be more likely to take you on as a mentees to show you the way and give you game. So use your student status to network with these guys. I told them that straight up. He didn't follow up with, well, can you introduce me? Or like, what's their number? Like, how can I get involved? He was just still continuously angry and wanting me to be like, calling me a gold digger and calling me, you only want a man for their money, which doesn't offend me. Neither one. Neither accusation offends me. I don't care. Call me a gold digger. That's fine. You just mad because you ain't got no gold. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you can get gold, but you don't believe me. You don't believe me. For whatever reason, you don't believe me. You don't believe me. And the pick me shot, I'm not materialistic. I don't need my man to do nothing for me. I'm fine. Okay, you don't even have a stable place to live, ma'am. You laid up with a man who can't provide you with a stable place to live. You need to reassess your life. You need to reassess your life. What are you doing? What are you doing, ma'am, young lady? That was my night, y'all. That was my night. I wanted to come on here and share with you conversations that were had offline among Black folks. That is definitely a reflection of what's happening online. It is. There's a theme, and I feel two ways. I feel at peace because I'm gonna be getting money either way it goes. Like, I don't need any of these people to endorse my lifestyle or embrace my lifestyle. Keep in mind, again, I'm the only fit person in this house. Everybody should be asking me how am I older than some of you ladies, but I'm fit and you're overweight. Like, you should be asking me questions, but whatever. Whatever. I don't need anybody to co-sign what I'm doing because I live a life that is conducive to me. I love you and I want you to do better for yourself. But I can't make you, and this is something that comes from within. It's something that comes from within. And what I have tried to do on my channel is connect with people who are like minds, people who want, who are on this vibration. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not in the business of converting souls onto holistic living or on, wealth creation, wealth growth. That's not my purpose. That's not my lane. I'm interested in people who are like-minded and people who are on the fence and just need to be presented with a way out. When you're frustrated and you're in a rut and you're just looking for a ray of light to show you a way out, to show you a different way, to connect you with other resources that will constantly reinforce that, that's who I'm interested in. The pick-me-sha, uh, the pick-me-sha tendencies are strong in these women, from the baby boomer to the Gen Xer to the millennial. They're all well entrenched in the pick-me-sha lifestyle. And none of these women have men in their lives who are providing for them. Maybe they don't have access. Maybe they've never experienced it. It's possible. I know my friend hasn't experienced it. You don't have competent men. And what's a really an interesting thing, because let me tell you a little side story. I have another friend who's a super pick-me-sha, and we had went out and we were meeting one of my guy friends out, and so we were late, but we were arriving to the venue, and we're getting here, and I'm getting ready to greet my friend, and my pick-me-sha friend ran off, and I didn't know where she was going. Like, I don't like that. If I go out with you, we leave together, we come together, we stay together, we tell each other where we're going. So if my friend comes with me, I expect, if she's like, "Hey, I'm going to the ladies' room," I want you to tell me so I know where you're going and when you're coming back. Because I'm very a mother bear. I'm very protective of my friends. And I've always been like that since middle school. I've always been mama bear. So she runs off. And I greet my friend. I was like, "I'll be right back." And this lady, she's like track star fast. And I have on like 5-inch heels. So I'm like, what the fuck? I'm trying to manage getting around quickly. And I come to her, I was like, "What are you doing?" I finally catch up with her. "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, I'm about to order a drink." I was like, "Order a drink? Girl, we'll call him, Sean. His name is not Sean, but we'll call him Sean." I was like, "Sean invited us out and he knew you were coming. So Sean is going to take care of us tonight." She was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yes, Sean is going to take care of us. Please come back to the section and have a seat." So we go back to the section and the guys get up. There were some guys sitting down. They get up to let us sit down. Um, we get comfortable and the waitress comes over because Sean tips really, really well. Sean tips really, really well. So waitresses treat him really good. So, um, so Sean orders, like, "What do your friend want?" Like he asked, like, "What do you want?" And he already knows what I drink. And he orders drinks. He orders like 2 drinks of what you want. "You want anything to eat? You good? You want anything to eat?" And it's just like, she's just such a pick-me. She doesn't like, she's gone out with me in the past, but it's been over a year since we've gone out. But she's never paid anything in her life. With me and my men. My men always take care of her. So I was just like, when I tell y'all she sprinted to the bar, she sprinted. She sprinted to the bar. I was like wobbling in my heels trying to find her. Like, "What are you doing, girl?" He took care of us the entire night. He had called me earlier that day and he was like, "Who's all coming out?" And I told him who I thought was coming. He's like, "Okay, what do they drink?" Because in addition to that, he also like bought their drinks. He went to the liquor store that day to buy them what they wanted. My friends, people he don't even know. Sean wanted me to be happy, and he thought that if my friends had what they wanted, that would assist me in being happy and that all the ladies would be happy. So he was happy to do it. So another lady that ended up meeting us at another spot, he had already bought her what she was drinking and bought the other girl what she was drinking and bought me what I was drinking. But I just had to realize, like, her pick-me-sha tendencies are so strong that she is not used to going out and being taken care of by a man. I'm used to it. So I don't think twice about it. I go out, my men take care of me. And it's not a big deal. What I was trying to explain to the young man was that, when you get to a certain income level, there are a lot of things that are not a big deal to you. And I was like, there are men who spend $500 on lunch and spend $1,000 on dinner. It's not a big deal. He was like, well, why would you sit up there and do that? It's so materialistic. Yes, to you, because $500 is your rent. But you have to understand that there are men out here in this world whereby $500 to them is lunch. They will spend $1,500 on drinks. They will spend $5,000 on a section at a bar at a club. And it's not a big deal. That's what they want to do. And if you were to get yourself together, you could achieve that too. Or something comparable. Maybe not that, but something comparable. And it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe his picture didn't run. When he paused the way he did, when the brother was like, well, you're happy, right? And he paused. And she didn't run away. I was like, girl, you've got yourself into. So this is what happened. I think this is what's going to happen. So he's with her, the Pygmisha. She's a disheveled mess. And I think that he's going to finish school, get his mechanical engineering. And if he's able to get a decent job, he's going to definitely leave her and get the woman he really wants. Which is why it's not smart to be Barbara the Builder. He's dissatisfied with his Pygmisha, because if he was satisfied, he would have quickly answered the brother, oh, I'm so happy with my relationship. I love my girlfriend. She's beautiful. I love my girlfriend. She's amazing. He didn't say any of that. He didn't say any of that. He didn't praise her at all publicly, and that's a lot of time these guys sit up there and do that. And that's why I don't advise that anybody be Barbara the Builder. Pygmisha, that girl, she needs to be leveling up. She needs to get her hair together, her makeup together, her weight down. She needs to get into school. She needs to get her life together. She needs to get a stable place to live and a reliable transportation. And she needs to take care of herself. She doesn't need to be worried about dealing with her dusty boyfriend, because her dusty boyfriend is draining her dry. She's not flowing with abundance and joy and poise and grace. She looks depleted and downtrodden, to be honest with you. She looks depleted and worn out. That was my perception of her. And a mess. Not saying that you need to come to a family event looking totally immaculate, but just in general, she just looked really a mess. And she's with this Dusty, who's not bringing any value to her life. She's stressed out about having a stable place to live. You don't need to be laid up with no man and stressed about a place to live. Listen, if I'm going to be stressed about a place to live, I'm going to be stressed by my damn self. I will not be laid up with your ass and you gratifying yourself with me every night and I'm stressed about rent. That's just not going to ever happen. It's not. And you know what? I think that I provided more inspiration and sort of like loving, feminine, pushing, like urging him to be great. I think that I provided more of that in a span of 45 minutes to this young man than this Pygmisha has in their entire relationship. Seriously. Because if Pygmisha was inspiring him, he wouldn't be so fucking dusty. But he is. She keeps doubling down on, I'm not materialistic. I don't need you to do anything. You can just be mediocre and I'm satisfied. I love you just the way you are. And look at what it got you. About to be evicted. And here I am. I'm listening to a mechanical engineer. Okay, listen. Okay, your skills. Okay, here's my connections. Okay, I'm what you call a high caliber, connected, refined, graceful, beautiful, revered, connected. That's who I am. And I'm sitting up here inspiring this young man, more from an auntie perspective, because he too young for me. I can't do nothing with you. I don't want you. You dusty anyway. I believe that I have inspired him and pushed him and urged him more in 45 minutes than this woman has in their entire relationship. This female. And that's life. That is the life. These males don't want to, it's uncomfortable. But what great do you achieve easily? There's nothing great that you achieve easily. So, yes, I can articulate these qualities about myself, but these are never something that I would sit down with a man and spell out. I think I have another video about why I don't. Yeah, if you check that dating questions answer video, I go into explanation as to why I don't give my resume to men. I don't give my resume to men. Men of means covet women like me because I compliment them. Men of means love women like me because I compliment them. They can talk to me about a lot of very complex issues and have a sounding board. Have an intelligent feminine perspective on, they realize that they don't see the full picture. They realize that. As in, I'm a man, I'm looking at it like this. And they appreciate my perspective. They appreciate a soft place to land. They appreciate, I've never, the only men who've ever asked me, what you bring to the table, or what do you bring to a relationship, have all been dusty. I've never had a man making $1 million ever ask me that, because they're very smart and they can immediately see, oh, her, she the one. Yeah. That's somebody I want to be around. What does it take for you to be around me? Because I will pay it. Period. What does it take? I've never had to explain to a dusty, what I do. I've never cleaned a dusty, pardon me, a millionaire, all my high caliber guys, I've never cleaned up their house. I don't cook. Okay. I don't do anything. I just look beautiful. That's pretty much it. And I just be myself. And they've only one high net worth guy asked me to make up his bed. And I was just like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not making up your bed. He got mad. I left because I needed to show him that I'm not a maid. I'm not going to make up your bed, sir. And then another guy that I was seeing, we were hanging out and I wanted to make him coffee. And he ordered coffee on, I think, Uber Eats or something. Or DoorDash. He ordered coffee. I was like, in the same time that it's taking you to order coffee on DoorDash, I could just make the coffee. It takes me 5 minutes. And so the coffee got there. He ordered coffee, I ordered coffee, and it came there. And when we're drinking, I was like, why wouldn't you let me make you coffee? And he was like, I just want you to be by my side. I just didn't want you to go. And I just thought that was the sweetest thing. It was so sweet. It would have been 5 minutes for me to make the coffee. But I say all that to say, guys who, in my personal experience, who've been high earning have not expected domestic tasks out of me, but somehow or another the conversation today devolved into, my friend who's the pick me show was like, well, when I was with my baby daddy, I would cook and clean and have his dinner ready, and I would do all of these things, and I'm like, you did all that without a ring though, sis. I'm a great homemaker. But there's levels to it. And why am I going to do all of those things to a man I'm not married to? It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you marry somebody that's already cooking and cleaning and ironing your clothes and running your bath water and rubbing? Like, why would you marry them? Why would you marry her? What is the incentive? There's no incentive. So I was like, okay. That's what the conversation devolved into. And so that's what, when underdeveloped males get to a point where they're asking for, what do you bring to the table? They're typically wanting to know, what servant type of things are you going to do? What are you going to cook and clean and wash and iron and those kinds of things, and make me food? Food is a big deal to these underdeveloped males. That's what they're interested in. But the conversation that I'm having with the young male about career and about striving and about doing what he needs to do to progress in his life, that's a different kind of conversation that a pick-me-sha can't have with you, because the pick-me-sha doesn't even have that mindset to even inspire you to do that. And once you get to a certain caliber, you're going to understand how you need a woman to keep you motivated. You should have internal motivation, but there is also motivation that comes from a woman in your life. And you should have women who are a little bit unattainable, a little bit, like, I have to provide to get her. I have to keep providing to keep her. Because what is it if I tell you, you don't have to do anything for my love and affection? You don't have to do anything. Just, it don't matter. Like, we can be evicted, we can live in a car, and I'll still be with you. So what is your motivation to strive when you can have love and affection in the car or in the trunk or on the side of the road or in a cardboard box? You see what I'm saying? You don't do men a service by allowing them to be mediocre, allowing them to let their talents go untapped, let their ingenuity lie dormant, let their intellect, be atrophy, if you will. You don't do them a service by requiring nothing, expecting nothing. All you will get in return is nothing. I thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I absolutely appreciate you. Please like and subscribe and share your comments in the comment section. All right. Peace and love.